I love that.
Yeah, so
are you kidding me?
like I said, it was nobody was complaining or whatever. So it was great that, it was a pleasant experience. So yeah. And like I said, most of the players that were there, the main focus or whatever. They all, at the end, you find out that most of them got D1 scholarships. I think except for the point guard, who they didn't really talk about. I mean, he seemed like he was a really good player, but I think he got some D2 scholarships, and they were like, oh, he's holding out for a D1 or whatever. But I mean, like, Sean and Art, Joe, and was KJ.
And last week I said Damien looked it up, and one person actually is on his way to be great in the NFL.
The NFL.
Or the NBA. Oh, right. Apologies. One guess.
I don't know, because none of them are.
None of them got there, but there are NBA people looking at this kid.
I doubt it.
One name. Who do you think?
KJ.
KJ. It was KJ.
Yeah, I doubt he's not mentally tough enough to. He needs to mature.
Yeah, I mean, there's a good chance he won't.
He needs.
I don't want to say that. I mean, the kid was a star, and he was humble.
He has the.
He never had any issues.
He has the athletic ability. He's just not mature enough, right? I mean, he still acts like a little kid. And I will say this about KJ. No offense, but when his girl showed up, I was perplexed. Let's just put it that way. I didn't know why. I mean, she looked like a Gabrielle Iglesias. Let's put it that way.
Would you stop? She was keeping him in line.
Yeah, you dropped.
She's beautiful.
Is she? I mean, yeah, in the beautiful type of way, like everybody's beautiful.
Supporting sister.
Yeah, everybody has good qualities. But yeah, KJ, yeah, just leave that shit. It's not worth it. You about to no.
I really did. What was his name? Marquise? Was it Marquise?
Which one is that?
The light-skinned dude who lost his parents and was living with that Keisha girl?
That was Sean.
Sean. Marshawn?
LaShawn, Rashawn, I don't know. But they called him Sean for short.
He ended up being my favorite.
Eh.
Did he have some issues? Yes. But when Coach talked to him and said, hey, you need to be a leader on this team, did he not step up? And the time when Coach threw, his little thing, was Sean not in there in the locker room saying, he's right, guys, this is what we need to do?
Yeah, he did have his back that time. But at the same time, if you look at that same episode, during practice when the coach was trying to tell him something, he was talking shit to the coach. So that's the problem. Look, that's the problem I have with
practice?
Okay,
you talking about practice?
Okay, Iverson. But that's the problem I have with him and with even with Joe. And with the coach,
Joe grew
with the coach as well. So, like, you see, like, the lesser name play or like the star players. And we're talking about a junior college, and California has the worst juke. Let's be honest, California has the worst juke. That's why they play only.
You need to finish your statement because you keep saying Jew.
Well, not the worst Jews, but they have the worst JUCO system of all. That's why they only play California schools. Like all the other junior college schools in the country play each other, whether it's East Mississippi, whether it's in Kansas or Butler, whether it's Oklahoma, whether it's Illinois. All the other schools across the country play each other except for California and Arizona. Why? Because, and you can see it as well with the last football season of Last Chance U and the last basketball season. They have no scholarships. They have no meal plans. They have nothing for the students there. It's the worst junior college system set up in California. It's the worst. But at the same time, with this coach, like if you see him talking with Sean or KJ or even giving a pass to Joe or whatever, he's talking all that shit in the beginning episodes or whatever. But then like that one light-skinned dude, and there was two of them. There was Sideshow Bob, who had the hair like Sideshow Bob. And if you watch the skit, or if you watch when they were doing the nicknames on their little retreat or whatever, they called him Sideshow. But it was Sideshow Bob, and then there was the other light-skinned dude who was also tall, But he was kind of funny or whatever. I think it was that dude, to where he had said something to the coach or whatever, and the coach was like, if you don't like it, you can get the fuck out. He didn't cuss, but he was like, you can leave, you can get out, you can leave, and this and that. And anytime one of the non-stars were to say something or question the coach or anything like that, it was a major problem. Anytime the star, like Sean or Joe or whatever, they were talking.
KJ never questioned.
They were literally talking shit during practice and during games, talking about how he can't coach right in front of the coach, how he can't coach and he ain't shit and this and that. And I'm a better coach
Joe
than him.
hella did.
Both of them did. Sean did too. And the coach didn't say anything to him. So you could see a big discrepancy there where he gave preferential treatment to the star players compared to the lesser known players that was disappointing. But yeah, Sean talked too much shit. I mean, he talked shit, like in some of the episodes, he was talking shit to the referees. He was talking shit to other players. He was talking shit to the coaches.
But
now, I
his
get it.
character arc, he grew.
I get it. He had a rough upbringing, like 50 to 60% of every other African American kid that's ever came up have a rough upbringing. But yeah, he had a rough upbringing, lost both his parents. I get it. You know, he was close to his mom, lost his mom just a year or so before the show started. So I understand that. That don't give you a pass to be an asshole. I mean, you can't just, well, I've had it tough, so
but
I'm
he
going to
grew.
talk shit.
Did he not grow?
No, he didn't. He didn't grow on me. I mean, I didn't hate him, but I didn't like him.
I wanted to give him a hug.
Well, anyway.
I would have given Joe a hug, too.
Like I said, Joe
had an amazing character arc.
Yeah, he was fine. Like I said, at the end, I think he matured. I think he matured the most out of all the players.
I agree, and I think it happened on the retreat. I think the retreat really changed him.
But even then, towards the end, the last episode, or second to the last episode, he threw a temper tantrum, and Wheels had to come and talk him off the ledge or whatever. And so, and when we talk about Wheels, there's an assistant coach on the team that's in a wheelchair, and they did go into the details about how he was he didn't always not have legs.
Damien didn't believe me when I told him.
He was a junior college baller, he was pretty good or whatever, and while he was at college, he got into a play wrestling match with one of his roommates and just shattered all his vertebrae and shit, and he was a quadriplegic. He has the movement of his arms now, so he's only a paraplegic now. But that sucks that you play fighting and you get fucking paralyzed. But yeah, I liked him, and I like the assistant coaches were fucking great. But Wheels had to talk Joe down that last, I think it was the second to last episode, when he went back into the locker room and was complaining. This motherfucker had he had his street clothes on, fitting to leave, and he was like, what the fuck? The assistant,
and it was the biggest game.
Yeah, the assistant coach was like, what the fuck is you doing? I mean, we almost here? We almost towards the end. You about to get scholarships. Why the fuck is you acting like a 3-year-old? And kind of talked him out of it, and so he went back or whatever. But so he grew, but there was still and I'd like to go back and see the actual details of how his season went this year, where he's at Long Beach State or whatever. How his season went, and see if I saw like a little excerpt or like he had 19 points in one game or whatever, and he was like he started some of the games or whatever, so he seemed like he had a decent season. But I'd like to see if he had any outbursts or anything like that, because he still wasn't. He was.
You can't change overnight, but he definitely grew.
But you can't change overnight. But this isn't the first time that he was going to play Division I basketball. 2, right. He's super old. Like, compared to remember, he went to Penn State for a year, got hurt, sat out for a year. We find out he went to another junior college in California for a year, couldn't cut that, and then went to, so this would have been technically his junior season, even though he's been, out of high school this would have been his 4th year now. So when the rest of these cats are 19, if they're fresh out of high school and junior college, 18, 19 years old, if you leave a D1, 19, 20 years old, he was 21 going into 22 years old. So he's in playing D1 now at Long Beach. He's like 22, 23 years old. The only schools that have that are the church, like the Mormons, like BYU and fucking, schools like that where you're 23, 24 years old, got 2 kids and a mortgage and shit. So he's kind of way older than most kids at his stage. And for him to still be acting like that shows he has some kind of mental developments that are kind of off. So, but best of luck to him.
And I won't spoil the ending for those of you that haven't watched it yet, but every season on Last Chance U, I cry at the final game. Whether they win, I'm like, you deserved it, you guys, I love you. And if they lose, I'm like, oh, they worked so hard for this. I have never, ever cried like this season of Last Chance U. And I won't spoil what happened. Oz wants to spoil what happened.
It's not a spoiler. Spoiler alert.
Okay, please fast forward if you haven't watched it.
Spoiler alert. We all entered a pandemic at the end of February, beginning of March. So you know exactly what happened. I mean, and here's the thing. Here's why I don't.
You don't know when it happened or why. I mean,
here's why.
We were on the bus.
You just spoiled it. But here's why I don't feel bad. I mean, I did.
Because we already announced spoilers. Fast forward.
It is kind of fucked up that they were on the bus getting ready to leave. But at the same time, it wasn't fucked up because just like the scene before that, when they were talking, like the coach was talking like, oh, they've already canceled, the Pac-12 tournament and Division. If you really thought the NBA canceled games and suspended games, the Division I schools like the Pac-12 and the Big 12 and all the D1 schools canceled all their tournaments. Did you really think junior college tournaments, which junior college is below Division II NCAA, Division III NCAA, everything else was canceled? Did you really think they were going to be like, oh, well, everything's canceled, but we're going to let these junior college players play in a gym because they're junior college players? I mean, you could see the writing on the wall that they weren't going to play. So I don't know why.
They just worked so hard,
but
they got so far.
But when the coaches were like, we're the only thing in town. All the other tournaments, the Pac-12 and the NBA, they've all canceled games, and we're the only thing that's still running. I mean, they had to have known that. No, you're not. Because you were about to get that call in 3, 2, 1, and they literally got it while they were on the bus getting ready to leave. So good thing they didn't get it while they were in transport, while they were halfway there or whatever. So
was that not a whole beautiful scene though afterwards? Like, oh my gosh, they were all like, some of them were trying to be so tough. Joe was trying to be so tough. And then they come back into the locker room, the coach is talking to them and saying like, this is seriously the best team I ever coached. Yeah. I love you guys like a fam. Oh my God. Like, I couldn't.
I wasn't crying like that. I was just like, oh, that sucks. But anyway, it's a good show. You definitely have to check it out. So
Damien asked me like 7 months ago. He's like, look, I think Netflix is about to raise their prices. Do you actually watch anything on Netflix? First thing out of my mouth, Last Chance U.
Yeah, I didn't start like Last Chance U, of course. And then there's this documentary on the last blockbuster that I haven't seen yet, but I want to see. But they're actually starting to come out. It's the same way. I hadn't watched Netflix in probably 3 or 4 months or so, but we go through cycles. I guess we're on our Hulu shit right now.
Desperate Housewives, baby.
I don't know.
Oh, no.
But
I did finish the OC.
And we watch shit on Disney Plus and Hulu, and I just finished some shit on Amazon Prime and HBO Max. But
yeah, OC. You gotta watch the OC.
But yeah, Netflix we haven't fucked with for a long time, and now there's like a few shows that I actually want to see on Netflix. So that's